Hi, I'm Jayne from Poppy Patchwork, and in today's video I'm going to show you how to make an 8-inch Lemoyne Star quilt block. I've drawn the block out in my quilt block notebook and I've written out the measurements that I'm going to need. I've designed this quilt block notebook which I use when I'm planning out the blocks that I'm going to do videos for, and you may find it useful. You can buy it from Amazon, and if you scan this code using your phone, it'll take you straight to the Amazon page for it. Now, let's get quilting. And you're going to need, in background fabric, 4 2.5-inch squares and 4 3-inch squares. And in fabric A, you're going to need 4 3-inch squares, and in fabric B, you're going to need 4 3-inch squares. This is an easy Lemoyne Star block, and it's easy because we're just going to do half square triangles. So I'm going to set the small squares to one side. I'm going to work with the 3-inch squares. I'm going to begin by drawing a diagonal line on the wrong side of the background squares. I'm going to pair these up with fabric A and fabric B. So 2 fabric A's and 2 fabric B's as paired together. I'm going to put those to one side. And then these are paired together. So I'm going to draw a diagonal line on the wrong side of one of these. So I'm going to pair these together. Then I'm going to take these over to the sewing machine and sew with a 1/4 inch seam on both sides of the drawn line. Now I'm just going to pop a pin in these to keep them all together. So I'm going to take these over to the sewing machine and sew a 1/4 inch on both sides of the drawn line. I'm now going to remove the pins, and then I'm going to cut along the drawn line. Now I'm going to trim this to 2.5-inch square. So I'm just going to press the seams with this seam roller to demonstrate this. And I'm pressing the seams towards the darker fabric. So to trim to 2.5 inches with a standard square ruler, you lay the diagonal line of the ruler on the diagonal seam. You line up just beyond the 2.5 inches, and then you're going to trim up and along the top. Then you're going to twist that piece around, lay the diagonal back down, and this time line the 2.5-inch line exactly on the bottom and left side, and then trim up and along the top. So that's how you trim using a standard ruler. I prefer to use the Quilt in a Day triangle square up ruler. So for this, you line the 2.5-inch line on the ruler on top of your stitch line, and then you trim up and down both sides. I'm going to continue that with the rest of my half square triangles. Now I'm going to set and press the seams. So I set the seam and then press towards the darker fabric. And now I'm going to clip the dog ears off. So now that all the half square triangles have been made, we're just going to lay it out in the block layout. The key thing here is to make sure that we've got the background fabrics all around the edge, and these two pieces kind of point in, so we've got the wider sections on the outside, and that will hopefully get everything in the right place. This section bit is a pinwheel. So now I'm going to join these in pairs, and so with the 1/4-inch seam. So I'm going to take those over to the sewing machine and sew with a 1/4-inch seam. So I'm not going to press them yet, but I have laid them back out in the block layout, and now I'm going to join the pairs together in the columns. And where I can, I'm matching the seams. So butting the seams together where I can. On these side ones, I can't do that. If you want to, you can flip the seam to get it to butt together. I'm going to take those over to the sewing machine and sew with a 1/4 inch seam. So now I'm going to lay these out on the pressing mat. So I have these in block layout, and now I'm going to press the seams in opposite directions. So this column I'll press the seams away, and this column I'll press them down, this away and these down. So rather than press towards myself, I'm just going to turn this around and press them away from myself. And just flip it back and put it on the pile. So these, I'm going to set the seams and press them away. This one, I'm going to flip it, press the seams, press them away from myself, and then flip that back. So now I can lay them back out in block order. The seams are pressed in opposite directions, and so that's going to make it easier now to join the columns together. I'm going to place a pin at every seam. So I'm going to take those over to the sewing machine and sew with a 1/4 inch seam. I'm now going to set these seams and press them open. This will get a flatter finish. So here we've got a very distinct point and I want to match that nicely. If you right click on the link above, it will take you to my video on how to get perfect points. So I'm going to take that back over to the sewing machine and sew the last seam with a 1/4 inch seam. So once again I'm going to set the seam and then I'm going to press the seams open. There you go, congratulations! We have made the easy Lemoyne Star quilt block. It measures, so it's 8.5 inches unfinished and 8 inches once it's sewn into a quilt. It's easy because it's made with half square triangles. And for this block I've used fabric by Moda called Etchings. It's the collection for a cause. I hope you've enjoyed these videos and thank you very much for all your support by downloading my patterns and buying my books. Bye for now and happy quilting!